it's Robin from the Marley Birdhouse, and I'm here to show you a fun new technique that Marley and I devised. So, crocheters, I have a question for you. Have you noticed in our knitted projects that Marley and I do that we've been using this Latvian braid? I mean, I've adored it. Marley puts it on lots of things, and it's beautiful. We've used it on cowls and stockings and hats, and they're in knit projects. You'll notice that we've never used them on crochet projects. Well, Marley and I thought, why don't we change that? There's got to be a way we can do something that's like that, right? So Marley and I devised like a cheat. It's not the Latvian braid. And it's similar, but it's definitely like a fake way of doing it. So that's what I'm here to teach you, the fake crochet way of doing a Latvian braid. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. But let me let me show you what I'm looking at. So what we have here is a Tunisian project. You can use this on any project. I just have a Tunisian project. This works on any crochet project. And what's going on is this I cord running across it. And it's like super thick, you can see. And it has kind of the strands that happen in a regular knitted Latvian braid. But in a regular one, these strands are making a direction. That's why we call it like the fake way of doing it. So you can put it on anything that's in the round. Like I said, this is Tunisian. This is a Tunisian knit stitch. You can do it on anything. Tunisian crochet doesn't matter as long as it's going in the round. So if you would like to see this fun, it's something chunky that you can add on later, let me show you what you need to get started. What you're going to do is you need any project that's in the round. So I'm using single crochet in the back loop here. You know, think of it like a coffee cozy, anything. As long as it's in the round in any crochet stitches. Doesn't matter if it's Tunisian or regular crochet, any stitches, you can be put on a Latvian braid on top. What you're going to want is 2 balls of yarn that are a very different color than what you've been doing, you know, something contrasty. And then, of course, you're going to want the yarn that you were making your original, whatever it is, in the round. The way that it's done is we're going to be doing 4 rounds. So there's 4 rounds involved building up. The first 3 rounds are all slip stitches, which means when you're using your hook, whatever hook you were using to make this, if you tend to be really, really tight, you're going to want to go up a hook size than what you were using here, but that's up to you. I'm using the same hook I was using to make this. I'm just going to be very gentle when I pull to make sure I don't make them really tight. All right, so this is going in the round. Everything was going on the right side. What we're going to be doing is working in the first 3 rounds. We're working on the wrong side, which basically means I need to see the inside of my work while I'm doing it. So it's kind of like you're going in the opposite direction almost. What you're going to do to get started is you're going to put a slip knot on your hook. And then what you want is to make sure that you have, you can see, some long length to be using, because what's going to happen is it's going to end up that we're twisting these 2 around each other a whole lot in the first round, and I find that if I have lots of extra to work with, it goes a lot better for me. Okay, you can join your yarn anywhere. I'm going to join it to the very last stitch. And what you want to do is you're going to be inserting your hook on this first round in the back loop only. So you know all of our stitches have a front loop and a back loop. The back loop is always the one that's furthest from you. So I'm going to insert my hook into a stitch on my round in the back loop only. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that second color and fold it over, pull through the stitch on my round and pull through my slip knot. Basically, what we're doing in this whole round is we're doing slip stitches, but we're going to change our color every single stitch. That's why I didn't pull through with the purple and I pulled through with the pink. Now I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch. And here I'm going to take my purple and I'm going to fold it. It's going to go over the pink. So it's going over. You'll understand why I want to do that in a minute. But in these first ones, you want to make sure that this tail is out of your way because you don't want to all of a sudden be starting to crochet with your tail. And you're going to pull through the round and the stitch on your hook. Go into the next stitch in the back loop. Take the pink yarn this time, and again I'm pulling over. And I'm going through the back loop and through the stitch on my hook. I'm inserting it into the next stitch of the round. I'm now taking the purple and I'm going over the pink. I'm pulling through and then pulling through. I'm going to make sure I get this tail out of our way. We don't want our tail to be adding extra anything. So I'm going to move that to the side. Again, go into the next stitch in the back loop. Taking the pink this time and going over the purple, through the stitch, through the loop on my hook, into the next stitch. And I'm going over and pulling through. So the whole reason I keep stressing this over is because what's happening is on the front side, you can see we're just having these slip stitches that are different colors. But that is not the part that we will actually be seeing. The part that makes this the quote-unquote Latvian braid is actually, it's almost like your strands, it's like your stranding color work. These strands are the ones that are actually going to be doing all the drama, doing all the excitement, and not our beautiful work up here. It's this pulling your strands along. So if I lay it down, see how these strands are changing colors down here? So as we build it up, it's going to be this loop that you see, and then just one loop of your actual slip stitches that you see that builds up your work to be this pretty technique. That's why it's so important that you're in every round, that you're always going in the right direction with your strands. So in this case, in this round, it's always making sure that I'm pulling over, because otherwise the strands are going to twist together and I won't get a really pretty braid because it'll look like kind of twisted together stripes. What you'll notice is that they're going to start to bunch up. So you just want to gently pull all of them together. Don't worry. Yes, they absolutely get all twisted together. Leave it alone. Just continue on. You'll get them all twisted together. It's okay. Because in the next round, we untwist them. So you want to keep pulling it. I insert my hook and I kind of do a dance with my fingers back here. You'll notice that I'm being very gentle. That's super important that you're not making these very tight slip stitches. And frankly, you don't need them to be super tight stranding work either. You don't want to make anything tighter or pinch in. All right, we're almost around, all the way around. So you get all the way around, and what you want to make sure is that you end on an odd number. So how can you tell if you have an odd number all the way around? The easiest way is that if I started with a purple here, and then I go to a pink, I need to end on a purple. I need another purple stitch because that'll be an odd amount. It's almost like these two are back to back. Don't worry, you'll never see it. Because right now you think of it's like a pairs of two all the way around. I need one more. Because what happens if you have an even number of stitches all the way around, your Latvian braid will stack, and then it's just a stack of colors. You can get that anywhere. All right, so I need one more stitch. So you can put it anywhere. It doesn't matter where you put this last one. It can go into the same stitch that you were working in before. It's fine. But you need to make sure that you have two of them. All right, so round one is all the way done. This is where I'm stranding. I always had it going over so that these are, it's like a candy cane. The candy cane twist is always going the same direction. And that's all it looks like. It looks like a line down here, a line of the regular color, and a line of the stitches. And that's all you need for round one. All right. So take a pause. Make sure a couple of things. Make sure you have an odd number of slip stitches above, and you're all twisted up. Those are all good things. All right, round two, time for more slip stitches. We're going to be doing slip stitches. This time, we're only using the front loop of all the slip stitches that we did before. So just this front loop. That's the loop closest to you. The second thing is now we're going to be pulling our color from under, not over. So we're reversing kind of like the twisting effect. So we'll kind of untwist our yarn. So to get started for round two, don't worry that these are all twisted up. I do like to give myself a little bit of extra yarn so I can kind of have something to work with. I find that if the twist is really, really close to my work, it's hard to work with. So I will kind of pull all those twists down. But I'm not getting rid of them. I'm not untwisting my yarns. I'm just giving myself some length for them to twist down. All right. So what we want to do is we're going to go into the very first one in the front loop. So now I'm going to pull my color from underneath and then just do a slip stitch. So I'm inserting my hook into the front loop of the next slip stitch, and this time I'm pulling my yarn from underneath and pulling through. And if you've done it correctly, that you have an odd number of stitches, when you insert your hook, so I'm inserting into a pink, I'm going to be grabbing the pink strand from underneath to complete that stitch. So I inserted my hook into the front loop of a purple stitch, and I'm grabbing the purple strand. So you see this time I'm going underneath. So before we were always going over. Now I'm always making sure I'm pulling from underneath. And again, I'm staying just as gentle as before. All the way around. So it is insert your hook into the front loop, pull your strand from underneath to pull through the stitch on your hook. From underneath and pull through the stitch on your hook. So with this with the knitted Latvian braid and the crochet Latvian braid, the whole thing is made by your strands. It's really done by your strands and not your stitches. We only see a little bit of the stitch. The excitement is all happening with essentially stranding these colors around each other. So getting the under or over is really how it's twisting the yarns to give us a look on the back, which is why we're working on the wrong side so that we can see all that. It's not all hidden on the inside of our work. All right, almost around, back around. We have one more left here. All right, so this is the end of round 2. What happened in round 1 is we had the twist down here and this one strand of the stitch. Now this is our twist and this is our stitch up here. So it starts to build up a little bit. It'll start to get a little bit puffier is what you want. What you want to make sure is when you kind of lay it down is that it's not puckering. You want it to be kind of straight with the work you've done. If it starts to pucker, it was a little bit too tight. Take it out, change your hook size. You don't want it to pucker too much. Okay, round 3. More slip stitches. So what you'll notice now is that your yarns aren't as twisted anymore. I don't have all that twisting going on anymore because going from underneath untwisted all my strands. So again, I pulled more to work with, and now I'm going to twist them all back up. Put my loop back on my hook, and we're going in the front loop of the stitches that we just made. But this time I'm making sure I'm pulling my yarn from over top. So before we were going underneath, now I'm going over top again. So round 3 now goes back to over top. So I'm still just doing slip stitches, but now I'm always pulling my yarn on over the yarn I just used instead of pulling under that we did in the last round. And in the beginning, you can kind of make it dramatic. Like it's like you are almost like you can like drop the one that you've done and very emphatically go over, in this case, with the other one. After a while, you start to get in a rhythm of it and you can kind of forget what round you're on. So sometimes I forget, wait, was this an over or under one? So I won't lie, sometimes I even write down you're on round 3 while I'm doing round 3. I think something about slip stitches that just makes me go into this like meditative trance and I forget what I'm doing. But this is definitely next level work, right? Like this is definitely taking your skills to the next level, because instead of, we're always worried about what our stitches look like on the right side, now we care about what our stitches look like on the back side. Like it's a whole nother thing. We care about how our strands look, because our strands are really the ones that we're seeing that are making our pretty pattern for us, which is kind of crazy. All right, I'm going to insert my hook, give myself a little bit more yarn to work with. And as they get all twisted up, that's when I give myself more yarn to work with, because then I can kind of move those twists down the line so that they're not all grouped up, bunched up in my hands that I'm having to work with, because that's kind of no fun. That's kind of my way of dealing with the tangled yarns, is I give them a little bit more length to twist up over, and then they don't tighten up so much on me. All right, almost back around. All right, last stitch. So, third round. And with the third round, you can see like none of the strands stack on each other. So you get this kind of really almost like woven look. You know, you don't want them to stack on each other. But as you can see, you can kind of untwist it in your hands, and it's like you're growing all of that fabric up. So for us to make it into a little coil is where round 4 comes in. But in the pattern, it tells you you don't need these 2 anymore. So it's time to fasten off. So the way I do it, I've finished my slip stitches. I've gone all the way around. I cut my yarn, and I'm going to pull the opposite color through the loop on my hook. To fasten off the colors. Then these 2, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just tuck them under a strand so they stay out of the way. So they all go on the inside so I can weave them in later. Now if I look under here, our right side doesn't look like much, as I have to like almost uncurl it. And that's okay, because what we're going to do on the 4th round is join it together so we have something we can build off of. So our tails under here, you can just pop your hook under and pull them also to the wrong side. So then you have this nice unbroken tube. All right, so take a pause, tuck in all your ends, and then join me for round 4. Round 4, finishing bits. With round 4, you want to be on the right side. So you want to hold your work so you're working on the right side. What we're going to be doing is that we are going to be joining the back loop of round 3 and the free loop of your round before with a single crochet. So basically making it so that this is always a tube. I have my regular color, my main color, on my hook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook anywhere. It doesn't matter where you start this, so it doesn't have to be at the start or the end. And actually, it's a little bit easier if you go a couple stitches over from it, because you'll be able to insert your hook easily. What you're going to be doing is going in the back loop of round 3 and the free loop of the round that we started on. I'm joining them with a single crochet. So I insert my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on my hook. All right, I'm going to do that again. Insert my hook into the back loop of the next slip stitch. Insert my hook into the free loop of my work. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. I just made another single crochet. So go into the back loop of the next slip stitch, insert it into the free loop that was left from when we started, and make another single crochet. So again, back loop. This is the back loop of the next slip stitch. Then into the free loop of the next stitch and do another single crochet. So what this is it's guaranteeing that this is our braid that we just made is always going to be a little tube. Like, think of it as we just made 3 rows and we're smushing them together. We are making some dramatic 3D nature to our fabric. So doing this, you'll see I'm going slow. I am very deliberately, one, making sure the tails are out of the way. We don't want tails to be confusing us. I go into the back loop of the next slip stitch, and I go into the corresponding free loop of my work that I was working on before. Not the first round, but the round that you were building on. So whether this is a cup cozy, a cowl, whatever we want to pretend that this little swatch was, it's going into the free loop of the original fabric. So back loop, free loop. It's kind of like you're sandwiching together, like you're seaming those two together. You're seaming the very last round of your Latvian braid, round 3, and down to the foundation, down to where you started. So you continue this all the way around. Back to the beginning. All right, we are back at the beginning. And it's almost like all of that was now hidden. It's like that round 4 kind of hides behind the Latvian braid, and it makes it puff out even more. Then from here, you know, you can finish your work off however you want. The pattern will tell you whether you're doing like another round of single crochet or if you're doing slip stitches or whatever you're doing. But your Latvian braid is now complete and you have something that you can work off of. You can see it gives quite the 3D nature, right? That is, whoosh, it really pops it out. And it's very dramatic and frankly just fun. Just fun. No other reason to do it than it's fun. It gives a really beautiful finished off look to projects. But you can see with this one, all that was done was you had that joining round. I did another round of single crochet and then some slip stitches just to finish it off. Like this was always built into the fabric. So you don't even see it on the inside. And that's our crazy fake Latvian braid. We hope you enjoyed it.